Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with the Times, and I'm here at IAA Mobility 2025 in Munich at the Messemunchen in Munich. And the show has been going on over the last few days here, the beginning of September in the Messemunchen, over 6 halls, and we've seen a wide variety of the ecosystem for everything related to autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, and the software, the hardware. And I'm going to be talking in a few minutes to Jim McGregor, who's the principal analyst with Tirias Research. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what we've seen over the last few days and some of our thoughts and observations, visiting some of the car companies, from the chip companies, and a lot more. So let's go over to Jim. Yes, so hello Jim, how are you today?
Hi Nitin, I'm doing great. We're here in Munich. You can't go bad there.
Exactly. So yeah, this show has been very, very busy. I mean, we've seen cars, we've seen chips, we've seen software,
Yes.
We've seen all the stuff that makes it all go together. What have been your key observations here? What's really sort of piqued your interest?
Well, first off, I would say that this show is really about the future of mobility, because I mean, we're still, getting there and we're still seeing a lot of this develop. But what's really piqued my interest is the fact that we're seeing the entire ecosystem start to work together. We're finally seeing these things come to fruition. I mean, BMW and Qualcomm have been working together for 4 years, and they finally came out with their software stack. We're seeing huge competition between AWS and Google here at the show, both vying to be kind of the cloud service provider for the next generation automobile. And obviously, just the level of technology, from the batteries on up. Pretty much everything here is EV or AV.
Mm. Well, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I've seen the battery companies, I've seen the software companies, but one of the interesting conversations I've had was with Sonatas, Jeff Chell, and I think all my conversations were around SDVs actually, and Jeff was talking about the stuff they've just launched, like the AI director, but what it made me think was there's so much behind the scenes in this ecosystem, and there's a lot of work, a lot of compute, a lot of everything, and that's where I think relationships like Qualcomm and BMW that we've written about, but also I mean I think Mercedes had their big launch as well.
Yes.
So I think there's so much, it's so complex. All these companies like the chip companies are moving up the stack. I spoke to NXP, Lars Riga. Everybody is having to move up, and I think one of the interesting things we heard from Nakul Dugal of Qualcomm was, as you move up the stack, you learn about things you don't know.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of things that, they developed a vision system, they developed, the SoCs and everything else, but there was a lot of stuff that, even terminologies and technologies they weren't aware of. Not to mention, having to build a solution, that is reliable and secure and everything else. I mean, when you get into a car, it's a whole new ballgame. Mm-hmm. And that's where some of these guys like NXP and Renesas and stuff and Infineon have kind of an advantage there, because they've already done a lot of this stuff. But everyone seems to kind of be coming up at the same time.
Yeah, the only booth from the chip company I've seen is the ST Microelectronics, which is just behind us there.
Yep.
But the others were there. I mean, Infineon was here, NXP was here.
Qualcomm's here.
Qualcomm's obviously. Yeah, sorry, I should have said Qualcomm. Yes. Qualcomm is here, but we also had in parallel the RISC-V Summit, and Infineon and Synopsys were there talking. Samir Wasson of MIPS gave the keynote as well. And I spoke to Andrea Gallo at RISC-V International, and I think what he's saying is RISC-V is coming into the automotive ecosystem very strongly as well, and Quintoris and everybody, they're pushing that along. I mean, obviously a little bit slow, but I think it's happening, and they've got these big companies behind it now. There's going to be something happening, I guess.
Well, and I think that, we've made this transition between architectures before. We went from MIPS and PowerPC to ARM in the data center and x86 in the data center, and I think a lot of these solutions, it doesn't really matter what the underlying architecture is. I think the software is being developed so robustly that it's going to be portable across anything.
Yeah. The point I think that just triggered in my mind is the car to cloud and edge, and how we're seeing a lot more of how they can do stuff on the edge and not having to use a lot of compute in the data center. I mean, actually, off-site, I went to NVIDIA as well this morning. Some fascinating stuff they're doing. They're working with Waymo and Tesla, two of their biggest customers, and yet there's so much that's being developed for the edge on the car, but it's being trained in the cloud on the NVIDIA AI factories. I mean, obviously they will promote the AI factories.
I have a warning, though, for all the semiconductor companies out there developing chips. You give more performance to a software developer, more memory, more anything, they're going to use it and more. So if you think you're done, you're not done.
And we heard that as well in a briefing this morning where they said, the technology in the CPUs and the SoCs is already there. It's just untapped, and it's kind of almost future-proof.
Oh, and
to a certain extent.
But once they get it, that future-proof won't last long. I guarantee you, within a year,
3-year cycle, 2-year cycle.
Not even that. I think within a year, once the software developers. I mean, we're just now. I mean, that's one of the big things at the show is having. Developer solutions from Google, from AWS, from all these different entities to be able to develop applications and services for these next generation cars. And once those get latched onto by application developers, not to mention all the AI agents we're going to have running simultaneously, I really think that even the largest systems are going to be struggling.
Talking of AI agents, conversational AI in the car, we've seen it from a few players. The one that really impressed me over the last few days was the Cerence AI, the stuff they're doing with, I think, Hyundai and a couple of other companies. And that seems to be really impressive in terms of speed of response, but also just actual interpretation of what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. And then that's, and once again, that all gets to that key point of the experience. And, it's kind of funny because, right now it's all about that interaction for the infotainment system and stuff like that. But, companies are finally talking about having that also for the car so that you're actually interacting with the ADAS or the command and control system saying, I want these features turned on, I want them turned off, I want a vibrating steering wheel or I want a sound, I want different things so that actually you don't have to go through a menu system of 100 different options.
But it brings us back to SDVs and the nirvana of being able to provide anything on tap over the air with a payment. I think one thing we were talking about at breakfast this morning is that's all very well having these technology features, but it really depends on the business model.
Oh yeah.
I know, and I'm not going to mention the company name, but my car, the dealer said, we can't provide that update for you. And I think that the reality was they didn't want to because they wanted me to buy a new car.
Exactly. Well, and I think that's a key point. We keep talking about the software updates and the software-defined car, but quite honestly, the technology is moving so fast that I think all the car companies, like Tesla, are going to have to start thinking about that hardware upgrade.
Yeah.
So it's not just a software upgrade. You're also actually, I think, going to be having to do those hardware upgrades over time as well.
Exactly.
Then look who we found. We found François from Athos Silicon. And I know that you have some major news, right?
Yeah, we have the chiplet back from the factory.
That's awesome. So when do we start seeing demos and everything else for it?
Oh, you're going to have to wait about 6 months that we bring them up, but it's coming soon.
But very exciting.
Very, very exciting. The show is awesome, by the way. We get a lot of people asking us what we are doing. We explain to them, the disruption of the fact to be on chiplet instead of being a normal chip, the redundancy, the power schemes that allow you to have cold backup. So people are excited.
Any design wins that we can talk about yet?
Not yet, but
But you have partners, early partners.
Yeah, we have early partners. We have agreement to prototype together, and when you have this, you have half the foot. If your technology is good, you'll be there.
Okay. Now I have to say that at this show we've seen a lot of partnerships, especially on the software side. And obviously Google and AWS fighting for the cloud. So are there any key partners or things about the software ecosystem that really excite you?
So I think we see a standardization of the driving stacks. So everybody is working on proposing to the OEMs a new way of doing things. You don't have to develop your own software stack. And at the same time, you don't have to even do your hardware anymore. You can call Athos, correct?
Yes, exactly.
So in fact, what we are asking people is if you are developing a software stack for autonomous driving, call us, we'll help you to port it to our chips, and then we're going to have a store of autonomous driving stacks.
And your chip's going to be lower power, more performance, and everything?
So because we are on a chiplet, we can actually have a cold backup. And we can wake up our chiplet in a matter of milliseconds to take over if the first one is failing. And then when you do level 4, where you actually need a backup for the backup, we can do this very easily too. We just put one more chiplet on the substrate, and now you have something that is really, really safe.
Well, and that whole chiplet architecture allows you to scale everything, not just processing, but memory, connectivity. You can add additional NPUs if you're overwhelmed in terms of
Exactly. We can
AI.
scale up to the moon.
Okay.
And that's the goal. And we are Silicon Valley people, so we always scale up better.
I was having a conversation with somebody this morning from Silicon Valley and said, Europeans need to figure out how to scale up to the moon.
Yes. Well, they do great cars.
Yeah.
And I think they don't have to do everything. You know, the silicon is what we do. We need to enable them to see their future. And their future is about the features. You know, a car manufacturer doesn't have to develop the technology to do autonomous driving. They need to give you the feeling of their own brand. And that is the tuning of the autonomous driving.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, you pick your software stack to define your future. You don't have to do it. You know, nobody was trying to make its own PC at home. You build your PC, but you get the component from the Silicon Valley. Here it's the same thing, right? We're going to try to figure out how we can make people to make a thriving economy out of building blocks that are compatible with each other and scalable.
I like the way you put things. And yeah, you have a really good way of saying it.
Well, I try. Now that I'm a startup, you know.
And what's been most exciting for you here? There's 6 holes here. What have you seen that you thought, wow, I didn't know that? You don't have to name names.
I'm biased, right? Like, I don't know if you saw the orange Mercedes-Benz AMG car.
Yes.
Yeah.
The concept.
Did you see how many miles they did in 8 days?
No.
40,000.
Wow.
And that means one thing, they charge really fast.
There you go. Very good.
That would be funny.
Well, François, thank you very much.
Always a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Thank you for popping by. So what's your key takeaway from this? As Tirias Research, as Jim McGregor, as the individual as well.
My key takeaway is that the industry is finally coming together.
Yeah.
So instead of seeing all these siloed solutions, we're seeing companies work together, creating more open solutions, and even talking about, like you were talking about RISC-V, seeing companies like Bosch and Infineon and stuff like that really step up and say, no, we want this solution. So I think it's becoming a much more open ecosystem, and I think we're seeing a lot of those collaborations. We're seeing a lot of openness. I never would have expected, like the BMW Qualcomm. They developed a software stack, and they're willing to give it away to anybody else that's using the Qualcomm platform. And now they have, the Google Cloud AI agent, which can pretty much run on any platform, and they're willing to allow OEMs to actually customize it to whatever they want. So, and that was one of the biggest fears, was that the major internet companies were going to walk in like Apple and Google, and they were going to take control of the car and the user interface and everything else. And Google and AWS and the likes and a lot of these other companies are saying, no, we're going to give you the tools. You can fully customize it. It's going to be fully open. So we're seeing a lot more of that collaboration. It's not us against them anymore.
Well, Jim, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.